The world held its breath. In an era where every move by global leaders is scrutinized, this moment was no different. People from all corners of the globe tuned in, their eyes glued to screens, their ears perked up, waiting for any snippet of information that could hint at the outcome of this monumental conversation. On date redacted, Donald Trump, a man who needs no introduction, held a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. This wasn't just a routine diplomatic exchange, it was a high-stakes dialogue between two of the world's most powerful and controversial leaders. This wasn't just any chat, it was a conversation loaded with implications, sending ripples of anticipation and apprehension across the globe. The stakes were high. Political analysts dissected every possible angle, trying to predict the outcomes and the potential shifts in global power dynamics. The relationship between the United States and Russia has been strained, to say the least. Decades of political tension, economic sanctions, and military posturing have created a complex web of interactions that are difficult to navigate. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine, the shadow of election interference, the specter of cyber warfare, these are just a few of the issues that have driven a wedge between the two superpowers. Each of these issues alone could be the focal point of intense negotiations, but together, they form a formidable barrier to any form of reconciliation. Trump, never one to shy away from a challenge, saw this call as an opportunity to assert his position, to negotiate from a place of strength, and to potentially reshape the narrative that had been building around his presidency. An opportunity to do what he does best, cut through the noise, defy expectations, and make deals. His approach to diplomacy has always been unconventional, often catching both allies and adversaries off guard. Whether this call will be remembered as a stroke of genius, or a grave miscalculation remains to be seen. The ramifications of this conversation could echo through history, influencing not just the immediate political landscape, but also the long-term relations between the two nations. One thing is for sure, the world was watching and listening. Every word, every pause, every inflection was analyzed and reanalyzed, as people tried to understand the deeper meanings and potential consequences of this pivotal moment in global politics. This wasn't a social call, it was a conversation that carried the weight of the world on its shoulders. Trump and Putin had a lot on their plate, a veritable smorgasbord of geopolitical hot potatoes. From the icy winds of Eastern Europe to the scorching sands of the Middle East, their discussion spanned continents and crises. The conflict in Ukraine, naturally, took center stage. The ongoing struggle, with its deep historical roots and modern-day ramifications, was a focal point. The stakes were high, with lives hanging in the balance and the international community watching closely. But it wasn't the only item on the agenda. The world is a complex web of interconnected issues, and their conversation reflected that intricate tapestry. Energy, that lifeblood of the global economy, was a key topic of discussion. The flow of oil and gas, the veins and arteries of modern civilization, was a matter of strategic importance. They discussed pipelines, reserves, and the ever-fluctuating prices that can make or break economies. The Middle East, a region perpetually teetering on the brink, demanded their attention. From Syria to Yemen, the conflicts there have far-reaching implications affecting everything from refugee flows to global security. And then there was the looming shadow of artificial intelligence, a technology with the potential to reshape the balance of power. AI isn't just about robots and algorithms, it's about who controls the future. The race for AI supremacy is a new kind of arms race, with its own set of rules and stakes. Oh, and let's not forget the dollar. The mighty greenback, the bedrock of the global financial system, was also on the table. Currency stability, trade balances, and economic sanctions were all part of the intricate dance of international finance. The global financial markets, with their dizzying highs and crushing lows, were another critical topic. The interconnectedness of economies means that a ripple in one market can become a tidal wave in another. In short, this call was a crash course in the most pressing issues facing the world today. It was a reminder of the delicate balance of power and the constant negotiations that keep the world turning. It was a reminder that even in our hyper-connected world, sometimes it all comes down to a phone call between two men at the apex of power. Their decisions, their words, and their agreements have the power to shape the future in ways we can only begin to imagine. Amidst the weighty discussions, a glimmer of hope emerged. Trump and Putin, in a move that surprised many, agreed to visit each other's countries. The dates and locations were left deliberately vague, shrouded in the language of diplomacy. But the symbolism was undeniable. In a world riven by division and distrust, the very act of two leaders extending an olive branch, however tentative, carried immense weight. Could these visits herald a thaw in relations, a return to a more predictable and less volatile world order? Or were they merely a carefully choreographed dance, a way to project an image of cooperation while masking deeper tensions? Only time would tell. But for a brief moment, the possibility of a rapprochement, a bridging of the divide, seemed tantalizingly within reach. The conflict in Ukraine is a tangled web, a Gordian knot of history, geopolitics, and national pride. Trump, in his inimitable style, wasted no time in outlining his approach. Negotiation, he insisted, was the only way forward. He pointed to the millions of deaths as a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict. He vowed to reach out to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to share his perspective and, presumably, to urge him to the negotiating table. Critics, quick to pounce, accused Trump of appeasing Putin, of emboldening an aggressor. They pointed to Trump's past praise of Putin, his seeming reluctance to criticize the Russian leader. Supporters, on the other hand, lauded Trump's willingness to engage, his pragmatism in recognizing the need for dialogue. They argued that previous administrations, with their sanctions and condemnations, had only served to exacerbate the situation. Section 5. A Prisoner Returns. The Release of Mark Fogel. Amidst the geopolitical maneuvering, a human interest story emerged. It was a tale that captured the attention of both nations and highlighted the delicate balance of international diplomacy. The story of Mark Fogel, an American citizen who found himself entangled in the complex web of geopolitical tensions, became a symbol of hope and resilience. Mark Fogel, an American citizen imprisoned in Russia, was released. His release was not just a simple act of diplomacy, but a significant event that underscored the power dynamics at play. Fogel's imprisonment had been a point of contention, a pawn in the larger game of international relations. Trump, ever the showman, personally greeted Fogel at the White House, a made-for-TV moment designed to tug at the heartstrings. The ceremony was filled with emotional speeches and heartfelt reunions, a spectacle that was broadcasted to millions, showcasing the administration's success in securing Fogel's release. He expressed his gratitude to Putin for releasing Fogel, hinting that this was just the first of many such releases to come. The gesture was a calculated move, aimed at portraying a sense of cooperation and goodwill between the two nations, despite the underlying tensions. The message was clear: Trump was a deal-maker, a man who could get things done where others had failed. His administration wanted to project an image of strength and effectiveness, emphasizing their ability to navigate the complex landscape of international diplomacy. The Fogel case served as a potent reminder that behind the abstract geopolitical chess game, real lives were at stake. It highlighted the human impact of political decisions, the personal stories that often get overshadowed by the grand narratives of power and strategy. It also highlighted Trump's transactional approach to foreign policy, his willingness to use any leverage, any bargaining chip, to achieve his objectives. This approach was both praised and criticized, seen by some as pragmatic, and by others as opportunistic. Whether this approach would yield lasting results, or simply paper over deeper cracks in the relationship, remained to be seen. The future of U.S.-Russia relations was uncertain, and the release of Mark Fogel was just one chapter in a much larger, ongoing story of international diplomacy and power struggles. When it comes to negotiation, former President Donald Trump often touted his team as the best of the best. Comprising seasoned diplomats, business leaders, and military strategists, Trump's negotiation dream team was designed to leverage a diverse array of skills and experiences. Their goal? To secure deals that would put America first, whether in trade, defense, or international alliances. But did this team truly live up to its name? Let's delve into the details. Trump's foreign policy approach often stood in stark contrast to that of the traditional establishment. While past administrations favored multilateral agreements and long-standing alliances, Trump prioritized bilateral deals and a more transactional approach. Critics argued that this method undermined global stability, while supporters claimed it was a necessary shakeup. So, how did Trump's foreign policy stack up against the establishment's? We'll explore the key differences and their implications. The real-world impact of Trump's diplomacy can be seen in several areas. From renegotiating NAFTA to the historic meetings with North Korea, Trump's actions on the global stage had far-reaching consequences. Some argue these moves brought about positive change, while others believe they created new challenges. We'll take a closer look at the tangible outcomes of Trump's diplomatic efforts and assess their effectiveness. Looking ahead, the future of US-Russia relations remains uncertain. With a new administration in place, there are questions about how the dynamics will shift. Will there be a return to more traditional diplomacy, or will the legacy of Trump's approach continue to influence interactions? As we ponder these possibilities, it's clear that the relationship between the US and Russia will continue to be a critical aspect of global politics. Only time will tell what lies ahead. Stay informed. Subscribe to VisionStream News for more updates on global politics and exclusive insights.